So hey, what's good everyone? Today I am going to talk about and I'm very excited about a new app that I have just built. This app is built for the Liquid Galaxy Google Earth community where we will be making a GIS application to control Google Earth through various ways. And this is what the talk would be about, and I will be talking about a specific UI that I have built in this, which is called the Google Voice UI. We can just take a look, and this is the uh, screencast of the UI that Google has. It just takes some words and tries to have an animation, and the one that we have built, and I'll be just showcasing you how to build this cleanly without using something like some plugins or libraries like GSAP, or just making it right out of simple CSS. So yeah, before I proceed, the Liquid Galaxy web app, as I was talking, has this particular screens in which the voice screen is the one that we'll be taking a look at. This is just that if I say something, it would be able to control Google Earth. I can say something like take me to London, or I can say something like add some specific kind of a KML, which is a markup to show some polygons, lines, or something over Google Earth. And it can also be used to shut down, reboot, and there are some other commands as well. So here's the application. The application by default is not connected to Google Earth, but yeah, this can be used to connect as well as send some kind of a KML, which is just like HTML, but this is a different XML based markup to make these stunning visualizations over Google Earth. And the next thing is voice, and yeah, let's take a look. So hey, how are you doing right now? And yeah, so as you saw that there was some very great animation that happened below, and there was an animation here as well, and this is what I am going to talk about. So as you can see, this is something that is directly made out of, if I will just show you the code, components, web components that are basically vanilla JS. It is not using any plugins, libraries, or frameworks. It is just directly building it out of the whole vanilla thing, and this is using the web speech API. So I was thinking of how can I make this, and I took a very hard look at this, like how this is happening, and I saw something that there is one thing that you have to notice, that the colors or the order of color does not change. It is always uh, blue, red, yellow, green, but their widths, their sizes change, right? So this is the first thing that I took a close watch of, and I thought, how can I make that? So the very first thing that what I did was this, and I'll just show you. This is very easy to make. Just make a rectangle, repeat that rectangle four times, yeah, and just yeah. So yeah, so and just give them some colors. So I'll be just giving it this blue, this one this red, and we can directly export this SVG and play with its sizes. This was the first approach that I took, and I thought that this is not the approach that I should be taking, and I will tell you why in a bit. Before I could should just give it a color, and yeah. So as you can see, this is very easy, and I can just play with the amount of blur that I am going to have in this, and the amount of spread that I'm going to have, and I can just play and rearrange to get these kind of effects. This was the very first thing that I thought about when I saw this, but later I thought, why not just use something like gradients, which can be 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. And this is what this is made out of gradients, and this thing on top, I don't know if you can see, I will just try to, this is responsive by the way. This thing is also the same gradient. It is just using a filter blur of 10 or 12 pixels, which is causing this effect. And this is so nice, and when I just use it, you can see the effect. Yeah. uh, and let's take a look at how we can make this. There are other things too, like the maps and tools, and if these are some of the things that I would say are really beautiful for Earth. While And there is a scanner as well, so there is this whole scan thing that also goes up. What I was saying is, to understand the UI that was made, I just took out the code and made a code pen out of it. So let's just see how we can use it. I made the class called Google Voice. I made two rects and I gave it some colors like this. So we have our CSS variables defined for colors of blue, red, yellow, green. At the moment, I will just use this dot rect and show you how we can just create a gradient by making this kind of background gradient. And I will just, instead of these variables, for now I'm just going to hard code this 25, 50, and let's see the effect. And nothing happened right now because we have not set the size for it, and now it should be good. Yeah, so as you can see now, this is in effect, but the problem was, so it cannot be animated. And that was a problem. Like, how can I do this? How can I animate this when linear gradient is not animatable? So I was worried about it. I thought that I want to animate it, but I cannot. So this is where CSS property came into effect, and I'll just show you what is CSS at the rate property rule. And here it is. Always go for the MDN web docs. This is the baseline newly available feature that allows you, and it takes all of these values like percentages, angle, or some other numeric types, and it stores them as data. So these are data that it is storing, and it is taking color, length, or number. We are using it for percentage right now, so as you can see, which is percentage. And this allows us that to use this property, and this will mean that the property can change. It means the property is now dynamic. And there was a very good example. It was by Una, and I believe I have it somewhere, so I will just go and search for CSS. I found it. So this is the example that I was talking about. This is by Una, and this example showcases how we can have this animated effect. And I think that the code must be right here somewhere, and if I only I can find it. So this is something like, you have these colors, and these colors are available to be modified. The gradients can now be dynamic, which was earlier not possible, and this is only possible because of this CSS add property. And I believe that the example is here. So see demo on glitch here. There was a very sneaky link, um, and yeah, and this is good. This is really good. This effect is like showcasing, yeah, this is possible, and this is what I'm using. So we have defined some colors or some anchor points, and I will tell you what I mean by anchor points. I mean that earlier I was thinking, just use, why not use, just use four properties, and that would be sufficient. But no, if we look at this example very closely, then the color or the gradients are also mixing. I mean that they are not just having a fine line between it, the way that earlier we saw here. If I can just go back a bit, yeah, as you can see, the colors are not mixing here, but in the example it is mixing as soon as the voice is in effect, as soon as the voice comes in effect, which means that, yeah, we will have to somehow mix these colors. So let's then use 6 anchor points, which means that we have three, I would say we have, I will just go back to this. So we have this 1, 2, and 3. We have 3 separations between the color. This is like blue red border, this is the red blue border, things like that. This is the red yellow, this is the yellow red, this is the yellow green, this is the green yellow borders. And whenever we want to mix, then this can have two variables, this can have two variables, this can have two variables, which will allow me to get the effect that I want. So I have this grad blue red, and if you're not able to understand, just keep following. It will just start to make more sense. And I have the parent set to absolute, because I want to position it at an absolute position, which doesn't really matter for the effect that we want. And this is the rect that I wanted. So I have this, as you can see around now, there are two rectangles. Why there are two? I think you can answer this because one of them would be blurred out to get the effect, and this is a blur of 20 pixel. And yeah, it looks so good. I think the blur is a bit too much. I will just change it to 12. Let's see if we can have a little lesser. Yeah, and I think I will just go for 16, bit higher. Yeah, this is perfect. And this is the kind of blur that we have. And let me just quickly go and change the body color to a, let me just see what color am I using in my code base, and I will just use the same color. So, and that's the beauty of using code pen. You can just take out the things that you want and leave out the things that you don't, so you can just show the isolated code and later just paste it to the YouTube where people can see it. Yeah, this is much better. So now I can have this, I get this whole look, I get the blurred look as well. And now I just have to animate these properties. For me, it took some time to decorate or change the values. I played with it at maybe what is the keyframe for 10%, 20%, 50%, things like that. And it allowed me to create this stunning effect. And I'll just go and uncomment this, and there is nothing, I'm just changing the values, and you can just use mat.random or something. You can even if you want a very nice effect, you can even change the audio voice that was taken into a data view into a float 32 array, and you can just see the if the array has some number or not, and if it is above a certain threshold, then it means that there is a higher wavelength which you can just define to make a higher I would say entropy. And yeah, so right now what I have is a effect that looks like this. So this is so neat. And yeah, that is more or less it. What I wanted to show is CSS property comes into effect to make this happen, which was otherwise not possible. So yeah, thanks to CSS property rule. And yeah, there's a whole set of UI tasks that are happening. This is a part of Google Summer of Code, and this will keep on going at a very good pace. And for the LG web app, that was it. There are multiple other sections too, like it has a map controller to control with your Google Earth. It has a settings of SSH to control, and a scanner for QR code to connect to the Google Earth depending on whatever Wi-Fi or whatever QR the Liquid Galaxy have. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but the thing I wanted to showcase was this. These were my concluding points. Just go ahead and take a look at the CSS property rule set. Just try to play with it. It is nothing but just numbers or percentages that can be represented as data, and these can be animated. So yeah, have you in touch. See ya and goodbye.